Good. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We welcome you to the ag meeting for this day. We're going to, first of all, have a roll call, I guess. Is that proper? And then we'll move forward after that. Thank you.
Representative Banks.
Here.
Representative Davis. Representative Fornstrom. Representative Johnson. Representative Ottman. Representative Provenza.
Here.
I can't say the word. Representative, there we go, Schmidt.
Here.
Representative Strock. Chairman Winter.
Here.
Chairman, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Mark. Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to our Ag Committee meeting this morning. I'm going to talk about the script first of all. So as we begin the meeting, I want to call your attention to the committee's rules of decorum. Copies of the decorum rules are located with the hard copies of the agenda and are available for view on the legislative website on the page for this meeting. We note these rules at the beginning of each meeting simply as a reminder that we expect everyone in attendance to be treated in a courteous and respectful manner. So I now turn the time over to my Vice Chairman, Dalton Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we're going to begin today, House Bill 133, brought to us by our own Representative Davis. So if he'll take the hot seat so we can grill him pretty hard on this one. And the floor is yours.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I bring to you House Bill 133. And I think this is a good little bill. I'll give you a little background on it. This fall, when the conservation districts met at their annual fall meeting, this rose to the top as a priority to try and update their board, how it's composed and how it's ran and everything like that. So that's what this bill does. It sets out some parameters in there. On page 2, that the board needs to be 5 people who reside within the district and shall be elected at large and by a partisan ballot. Okay. Also on there, what the bill does too is set some criteria for our rural representatives along with our urban representatives. And I think this is a good little bill. It's a good fix, and I think this will help them along. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions, Representative Davis? Representative Ottman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Davis, what is the purpose of declaring residency at the time that they're elected? What, is there a reason for that? Page 2.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ottman, the reason for declaring residency is proof if you reside within the conservation district, I think is what the intent of the verbiage is.
Follow up, please.
Go ahead.
And thank you for that. I know that seems kind of a silly question, but what I was wondering is, can somebody outside of the district run for office? And then if they win, change? No? Okay.
No, ma'am. They have to reside within the district. Yes. Okay.
Representative Fornstrom?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I'm curious, it leaves it pretty wide open. How far would in the discussions, would they expect someone to move while in office to still comply with representing their district?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Forston, I guess I'm not quite following, but you shouldn't be able to move within the district. You have to live within the conservation district boundaries, which some of these are quite large. We've got, let's see, 3 within 40, House District 47 over there. 4 within House District 47 over there. And so they're pretty large encompassing, and you have, in order to be on the ballot, you have to reside within the borders of that district. Does that answer the question?
Follow, good. Oh, Representative Provenza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Davis, am I correct in understanding that that this isn't about the moving or where people are, it's about the district changing from rural to not rural while people are serving? Was that a consideration of the conservation district?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Provenza, that is a concern here because sometimes when you live within the district, and I was actually a good example of that. I was living urban and I was an urban representative. And then I moved to a rural location and I had to step down from the board at that time because I was no longer an urban representative, which left a vacancy on there. And so that's what they're trying to help with here, because a lot of these, as you know, a lot of these boards have issues trying to fill our voluntary boards.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess what I was getting at is reading this, is there anything that would preclude me from running for my district board and then moving to a different district and retaining my seat on that district board?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Forstrom, I think that is still kind of a gray area in there, and maybe we can do some work on that. But in order to keep the board together, that is an issue. Sometimes they do move outside the board, but as we know, as representatives, we're elected to represent our district. And when we live within our district and then you move out, you have to resign from that board. So I think they're trying to address that issue here.
Go ahead, Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, Representative Davis. Question on page 2, line 21. It says not less than 2 supervisors elected at large shall reside in a rural area located in the district and shall be directly participating in production agriculture. Has that been an issue? I mean, has there been supervisors that have been that aren't in production agriculture taking over these districts? Is that the reason for that language?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith, I believe that is, a lot of our districts, once again, it's hard to get people involved in the decision-making on these conservation districts. And that's why they've specified in here, and over here on page 3, item B, they kind of allude to what is a rural. And yes, that's so that our board still maintains that agricultural intent there.
Got it. Thank you.
Further questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, we'll open this up to public testimony. Do we have any public testimony in House Bill 133 here in the room? Okay, I believe we do have somebody online for this one. Okay, let them in.
You can go ahead, Holly.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to join you all this morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, perfect. My name is Holly Kennedy. I'm here today representing the Wyoming Association of Conservation Districts. We really appreciate Representative Davis bringing forward this bill. As he mentioned, this is something that came through our policy process this year. And so what that looks like is individual district brought this forward as a resolution. From there, it was debated on and worked on at their area meeting. Then it went up to our business meeting, went through a committee meeting, and ultimately got adopted at our state meeting. So this is one that has had quite a bit of consideration on our end. Essentially, what the bill is trying to get at is we've had several supervisors who were elected. So the current structure is we have 5 district board members in each of our conservation districts, and they are required to be 3 rural individuals. 1 can be at large, and then 1 must live within confines of a municipality within that district. Thank you for the great questions. Yes, they must all reside within that district, and they must remain as a resident of that district during their term to be able to represent, because they are elected on the local ballot. That is how our supervisors are selected and elected. What we've ran into a couple times is we have had a member of those boards, we call them supervisors, a supervisor in multiple districts and multiple instances, who has either moved from town out to a ranch property or from the family ranch into town, into a house into town. And at that time, they had to resign their seat. They weren't able to finish fulfilling their term on the board. And so what conservation districts are really looking for, and I think there's a way to clean this up, and we've talked with Representative Davis about that. We while we're certainly open to the conversation of changing that matrix, because the having those 5 board members that specific in some districts is a little complicated. Think about, for example, our Teton Conservation District in Teton County. Sometimes it's a little hard to make sure you got all those seats filled. But the conversation that we're most interested in is just allowing those supervisors, once they've been elected, as long as they continue to reside within that district, to finish out the term that they were elected for. If they do change classifications of where they're living within the bounds of that district, and then they could run for the appropriate seat if they wanted to run again, but really just looking to allow them to finish out that term that they were elected for first. So I think, there's some really easy language that we can do to do that. But happy to answer any questions and help provide any contextual information.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. Kennedy. Any questions for the conservation districts? Seeing none, thank you. Appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Further testimony? Okay, with that, we will close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure? Moved by Representative Provenza, seconded by Representative Strock. Discussion and/or amendments on the bill. Representative Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make an amendment on page 2, line 7. After who have lived in Wyoming for 1 year and reside within the district shall be elected at large by a nonpartisan.
So the added language is have lived in Wyoming for 1 year.
Yes,
Okay.
and
Okay. Everybody clear on that? Mark, you're clear on that? Okay. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Representative Schmid. Discussion on the amendment?
And Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
and the reason for that is to prove up that, you are a resident of Wyoming and that you have been here at least through one of our glorious winters, not this one, but one of our normal winters. And, so that's the reason for that.
Okay. Thank you. Discussion on that amendment. Representative Provenza?
Thank you. Are we sure that that's not already covered in election law? I mean, we have to live in our districts for a year before we can be appointed. I would just be curious if any of this is dictated by election law and if folks have to live in that district for a year before they can run.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, and the good representative may be right. I'm not that familiar with that. And if that's the way it is, then there would be no reason for redundancy. So
Okay. So what's your preference on this? Get this in and then if we find out, take it out, or just wait and put it in on the floor, or we'll go with your preference on this one?
well, I think I would follow the good representative's lead here and we would pull the amendment. And then if it isn't in election law, then we
Mr.
could.
Chairman, I think we
ahead.
can, I think we can leave it because we have to move the amendment on the floor. So if the
Oh,
body
okay.
agrees with that policy decision, then I would just vote for it. And I think we should have conversation about, we can look in, because I'm not going to be able to get the answer to that in the next 30 seconds.
What?
I know, I'm not AI and I don't use it. Thanks.
Good committee. Further discussion on the amendment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendment has been adopted. Further discussion and or amendments on the bill? Seeing none. Mark, will you call the roll on House Bill 133?
You're voting on House Bill 133 with amendments. Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Davis,
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom,
Aye.
Representative Johnson,
Aye.
Representative Ottman, Representative Provenza.
Aye.
Representative Schmidt,
Aye.
Representative Strock,
Aye.
Chairman Winter. 9-0, and that's do pass with amendments.
All right, thank you. So we're gonna jump over 116 and hold it off. The state engineer would like to be here, but he's over across the hall with our colleagues in the Senate testifying on a bill. So if it's okay with the sponsor, we'll have House Bill 11 next. Representative Williams, welcome to the Ag Committee. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. Representative J.D. Williams. I bring to you House Bill 11, Eminent Domain Landowner Bill of Rights. This bill facilitates the conversation between anyone who might initiate eminent domain and landowner. It, in short, requires that when eminent domain is intended or mentioned, that a brochure describing the landowner's rights is distributed at that same time. I'll walk through the bill quickly. Pages 2 and 3, it lists the rights that are ours as landowners under the eminent domain laws. And those are listed in the brochure, and I'm happy to talk more about any of those. You may be probably familiar with those. There will be a couple amendments that will help this bill. Specifically, who is responsible for the brochure? Just so the brochure is uniform across industries, across municipalities, across the state. Happy to stand for questions.
Thank you, Representative. Questions for Representative Williams? Any questions? Okay. Seeing none, thank you. Appreciate that. Public testimony on House Bill 11. Come on up. Welcome, gentlemen. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Austin Rodemaker, and I'm here on behalf of Tri-State Generation Transmission Association. We're a 40-member electric cooperative providing wholesale power to 8 of Wyoming's distributive cooperatives, which represents the largest singular cooperative footprint in the state. We appreciate House Bill 11 and what Representative Williams is doing here. The landowners that he's working on behalf of are most likely our co-op members, considering that we wholesale power to Niobrara Electric Association and Wyrelec. And so we have a very heavy footprint in that neck of the woods. We're going to bring a couple amendments, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
We have provided a document. I know that Representative Williams has also provided a document, so we are at no shortage of amendment opportunities here. So the first amendment that I'd like to draw your attention to is going to be on page 2, line 9. In that area, we would like to strike will or may attempt, which does proceed on to line 10. And we'd like to replace that with the word intends. We believe that keeps it succinct with the current statute, which is 126-504C, which keeps it in line with that statutory requirement of ours already, where we already have to provide notice, and the word intends is captured in that statute as well. Any questions before I move on to the next one? All right, next amendment is going to be on page 3, and it's going to be the entirety of Romanet 4 we believe should be removed from the bill. And that's really a duplication. That language is already captured both in statute and in the bill. And like I said, we've coordinated with Representative Williams prior to the session, and he has agreed with our amendment here. Any questions before I move on to our last amendment? Our last amendment will be on page 4, it starts on line 9. And there, where after the word landowner, we would like to put prior to any condemnation action. And then we would like to strike all of lines 13 through 15. Similar concept, keeping it in line with what's already statutorily required of our organization if we want to move through a process like this. And then we believe part of the 1-26-509C is a statute where we already have to discuss good faith negotiations. So that's already required of us if we move towards any sort of condemnation action. And with that, Mr. Chairman, that sums up all of our proposed amendments, and I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Tri-State? Everybody clear on what they're proposing? We have it written down here, so. Right, thank you. Mr. Moline.
Mr. Chairman, if I might
Oh,
jump in and
go ahead.
since we're on amendments, Mr. Moline, I'll add mine and then you can shoot them all down. So,
Go ahead.
thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pete Overmueller, President of Petroleum Association of Wyoming. I just have one further amendment while you're on the amendment sheet and staring at it. PAW agrees with all the amendments suggested by Mr. Rodemaker. We were working on similar ones, but his were much cleaner. So I'll leave those where they are, and we like them. We had one additional, which is the bill as it stands is unclear about who creates the brochure. And without that, then we'd have 100 different brochures saying somewhat different things. So we wanted to consolidate who is in charge of creating it. And we discussed a lot of different options and landed on the Attorney General's office, that they would create it. They would make it available under this amendment, both on their website and as hard copy that we would be able to use and distribute per the rest of the bill. The Attorney General, I'll let Representative Williams speak to this, but we landed on the Attorney General because of sort of the neutrality of that office. There's lots of entities, local governments, private industries, et cetera, that have eminent domain authority. And rather than put it in any sort of agency that has oversight on any one of those, that the Attorney General was more of a neutral party, and that made sense to us. So, Mr. Chairman, you'll see what we're suggesting is page 5, line 17. We insert a new section 2, and then would renumber it accordingly after that. And the section 2 is the Attorney General shall develop the brochure described in this section. And Romanet 1 provide a digital copy on the agency website. Romanet 2 provide copies upon request to any condemner or condemnee. Those two words are what it's used in the eminent domain statute. So they're already defined as defined by Wyoming statutes 126-502A, Romanets 2 or 3. happy to answer questions, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Appreciate that. If anybody is needing that language, it is on this sheet here, so. Questions for the Petroleum Association? Okay, thank you for testimony. Mr. Moline?
I don't know if I want to wait until they're both gone. So- No, these are good people. I've worked with them on several issues. Brett Moline, Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation. Really appreciate what this bill does. This is an educational piece that's going to help out my members, the landowners. Having not seen the amendments, just hearing them now, that one of the things I would push back on, if I understand, the intent of some of the amendments is if they intend to use eminent domain. That gives me a little bit of pause, because when the negotiations start, I would assume that there's no intent to use eminent domain. I would rather have, if they have the power of eminent domain, that they need to inform the landowner. I believe it would be condemnee would be as the word. That's just a point that I have, but I understand what their amendments are, but I have a little bit of pause about, if they intend to use it. We've heard testimony over the years that, well, we never intend to. But having that power is a pretty big tool in their toolbox that the landowners don't have. So I would rather have, if they have the power and they're negotiating, that they need to get this information to the landowner. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd sit for any questions.
Yes, Representative Provenza.
Thank you. Mr. Moline, the bill already says will or may attempt to, so it's already language that says that they might try to use eminent domain. Intends is cleaner language, so it's not changing the structure of the bill. It's inputting in intends in.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Provenza, potato. I think my stance is if they have the power, they need to again, intend is a word that I would interpret that they intend to use it. Where if they have the power, and the way I understood, again, I'm kind of shooting from the hip a little bit, which I don't like doing, but I hadn't seen the amendment, but I would rather have it pretty straightforward that if they have the power, they need to inform. But I will say that if this brochure is available, it's also incumbent upon organizations like mine that deal with landowners to make sure that they know where this brochure is and that we can help them with the negotiations. And I must have said something terribly. Mr. Chairman, is there any other questions?
Any other questions, Farm Bureau? Okay, thank you. Appreciate
Perhaps
it.
I'll stay for.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for letting me do something I don't normally like doing, which is come up again. I think my only comment on Mr. Moline's testimony is that what is required of us is already statutorily it's already in statute. All we're doing is trying to make the notification system more in line with what we already have to do. So this is not changing any sort of statute. It's just this, I mean, we appreciate what Representative Williams is doing. We support the bill as amended. It's just making sure that the notification system is in line with what we have to do. And I mean, I did ask Tri-State in the last 10 years, we've gone into condemnation through eminent domain once. And that was when we couldn't contact a landowner. So this is, the people that we are working with here are our members. So we're not trying to hurt our members. We want to work with them. We want to make good faith negotiations. So, this is in no way changing what's already statutorily required of us. It's just bringing it more in line with what is already there. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions? Go ahead, Representative Schmidt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this is kind of for all of our people that have testified. Do any of you have any sense that this could possibly give landowners some kind of false sense of security with this document?
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Schmidt, I don't believe that this would give them a false sense of security. In fact, I almost believe it would be the opposite of giving them real security, because we're now required to deliver them their rights. Right? Because you know, we've dealt with landowners in the past, and you bring up eminent domain, and that kind of gets everybody up and jumpy a little bit. I think in this situation, it's, hey, we're looking and intending to use eminent domain. Here is your rights as we look to move forward, right? Because before we move towards any form of eminent domain, we're going to go through, as statutorily required, a good faith negotiation with the landowner. So in my opinion, this just provides them with their information up front, so they have access. And I think that's the intent of, I don't want to speak for him, but I believe that's the intent of Representative Williams' bill.
Okay. One follow-up. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One last question. And just to clear it up for me, is there anything on here, any kind of written consent from a landowner for people to enter their property to do anything? Or should there be?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Schmid, now we're starting to veer outside what I studied and prepped with. I do believe that we have some sort of requirement of notification. But given Mr. Obermuller's head nodding, I might turn this one over to him.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Representative Schmidt, that is all captured in the eminent domain statute itself, not this bill, but this bill does, Representative Williams' bill does point to that has to be part of the brochure, is making landowners aware of their rights of that entry requirement to do staking or surveys or any of those sorts of things that would need to happen. And there's a I didn't bring a statute back up with me, but there is a time period there, et cetera, that's already in statute.
Okay.
And Mr. Chairman, if I might, real quickly, just on the concept of delivering it when it's intended, I think the timing of it is really important. And I can understand Mr. Moline's comment about wanting to have it up front. We all know that any negotiations that deal with eminent domain are, at their very nature, very, very contentious. And in my time at PAW, what has been repeated over and over and over again is what landowners despise is if one of my members come into the room on the very first time and say, yeah, but we have eminent domain authority. So like I'm a little agnostic. I like Mr. Rodemaker's amendment. I'm okay if it goes back to what it was before. What I think we really have to think carefully about is if a bill mandates us that we walk in the door and immediately hand them an eminent domain brochure, then the state is basically forcing us to have that difficult conversation right away, instead of all of us taking a step back and saying, how can we come to an agreement that never gets to that point? And then if it does get to that point, then I have to tell Mr. Moline his rights. But let's try to not get to that point. And you know what? We very rarely get to that point. We're pretty good at getting to negotiations to the right place in Wyoming. So that timing is super important.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Any questions? Go ahead, Representative Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And would a better verbiage be that the person's option to condemn? Would that be a little more soft, or instead of intends? That this option is in there, even though we know it is. Or I'm not sure exactly how that.
Mr. Chairman,
go ahead.
And I defer to Mr. Rodemaker on this too. It's his amendment, but it does align more with, the word intends aligns more with where the statute, the eminent domain statute is. And, again, it's a little nebulous, right? You have the authority, statute gives you the authority, but you really don't intend to use it until the point that you do, right? And there's no hard and fast rule about what that is. And the point is, Mr. Moline's chuckling over here because I think he knows that everybody knows that it exists, but we try really hard to not get there.
Good. Yeah. Go ahead, Representative Altman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Obermuller, and Mr. Moline. Just to clarify it in my mind, so this brochure is being put out for educational purposes. This is something that any government agency, be it irrigation or or industry or whatever it would be that you hand out to people that are going to be affected by this project? Is that it? Or is it only for the organizations that you are involved with?
Whoever wants to take that one.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Chairman, yeah, as I read the bill, it's particularly having the AG create it. It's neutral. It describes what a landowner's rights are under the eminent domain statute. There's several entities that have that authority, including local governments, state government, utilities, pipelines, et cetera, et cetera. They have all the criteria, and you can sort of read them in Representative Williams' bill about, necessity and least impact, et cetera, all that criteria. It's available for any one of those, and under the bill, any one of those entities that have that authority would be at the point where you intend to perhaps move forward with condemnation, you would have to make the landowner aware of all of those rights, which I think that's a pretty good idea.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And just one more follow-up. So if I'm at home, I'm not testifying here, I don't see it online, I don't know, and all of a sudden I see that there's a project going on around my area, is it my responsibility then to get online to find all these things out of the Attorney General's office?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ottman, no, so the point of the bill is that when we are moving towards a condemnation, then we, as the condemner, have to deliver the Bill of Rights to you, so that way you are aware of what your rights are. At least that's how I read the bill, is that Mr. Obermuller's amendment, which we believe is a great amendment, has the AG's office as a neutral party design the brochure, but then we, as the condemner, are responsible for delivering that to you when we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Go ahead. Oh, did you have something?
I did.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All right, I'm going to ask this for one of my landowners that sent me an email on this, and I'm not certain exactly what's in statute on this, but he's asking 3 different questions, and you guys may be able to answer this. But he says the bill seems vague on who is authorized by law to condemn landowner property, number 1. Number 2, they feel strongly that if there is eminent domain issue, the landowner should not be responsible for the legal fees to fight it. And number 3, the party condemning the property should be liable for any legal fees of the landowner. Can anybody tell me if that's in statute or if those issues are covered?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Smith, as far as who has the power, that's very well outlined in other aspects of the law. Public necessity is one term that's used. The agencies that have the power, there are some entities that positively affect agriculture that, like for our water canals, that has the power of eminent domain. Essentially, if it's for a public necessity or benefit, they, in a nutshell, they have that power. As far as the legal fees, I believe those are up to who's, to both sides to pay for their own. I believe that's the case right now.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Schmidt, I believe Mr. Moline's correct. I believe the legal fees is also, it's up to each individual, but it's also up to the negotiation process as well. So I think those 3 questions you asked, Representative Smith, are great questions, but I believe all 3 of those are already captured in statute. And this bill is not really changing statute. It's just adding a notification requirement on our end as a potential condemner.
Thank you.
Further questions? Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to keep talking, but I am a lobbyist. But Mr. Chairman, the way I view this brochure is that it's educational. And as early in the process, or even before the process starts, if condemnees can have this information, it's the earlier the better. even before the action has started, if this is available. And I think I have to agree with Mr. Obermuller. I think the AG's office is as good a fit as any. That's probably the best place to have it developed and placed. But it's going to be available beforehand. And so I think education is key. And I will agree, a lot of my members have had different things come through, and it's eminent domain is very rarely used. But in some instances, it has been at the courthouse steps before an agreement is made. So it's not, I'm going to split hairs. It's used a lot more than it's exercised, if that makes sense. I will say that the vast majority of companies that my members and my acquaintances have been involved with, it's there, but it's never really a threat. The negotiation process by the vast majority of entities that have the power have been very good. They've come to the table. Both sides have come to the table. We've come up with something that works. So, and I understand the reason to have it, but with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll try to shut up and let you get on.
Thank you. Any follow-up questions, Farm Bureau? Okay, gentlemen, thank you. Further testimony, come on up and fill the chairs. Go ahead.
Kara Arano, Rocky Mountain Farmers Union. I apologize. As you may know, this is a difficult schedule morning for those of us in the Agricultural Committee with multiple committees at the same time. So I did miss the earlier conversation. But what's most important to my organization is the ability for the education. And having this pamphlet, regardless of when it is handed out, is a step towards reassuring folks that they have the appropriate information they need. And what's a very scary process, those of us, companies deal with this all the time. Individual landowners don't. And so there's fear for our property, fear for our rights, fear for the money that this may cost us in the short term and the longer term. And whether or not a company is required to give it out at the beginning of the process or later, if this pamphlet or similar things is available to me, both electronically and in paper form, it helps me help my members. And so we can help as an organization work with companies, work with the government, work with our members to get this out there. And a better educated landowner is a more comfortable landowner to work with. So we support this in the education piece that it provides. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, committee? Thank you for your testimony.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. My name is Claire Duder. I'm a staff member with Powder River Basin Resource Council. We're a statewide member-driven organization, and many of our members are landowners. We urge you to support this bill. We support landowners being empowered, being able to fully understand and exercise their rights so they can make the best decisions for their property. So we urge you to support this bill and vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions, committee? Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Lindholm.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, thank you. My name is Tyler Lindholm. I'm the State Director for Americans for Prosperity here in the Cowboy State. We're on and in favor of this legislation. When it comes down to eminent domain and the takings of private property, it should be as difficult as possible. And by ensuring that that notice is given to landowners as far as their rights and how they can exercise their rights, it does make it more difficult for the taking of land, which is fantastic. It should never be the first option is going to eminent domain. And as you heard from industry that spoke earlier, that's very rarely the case for them here in Wyoming, which is fantastic. I would like to make a suggestion though, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. There's a rich history in the Wyoming legislature of ensuring that our brand is always out there first and foremost. You will be handing out a pamphlet. I think it would be appropriate on 126-517 under B to ensure that the Wyoming Bucking Horse and Rider is applied to all pamphlets that are handed out to individuals. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I would stand for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thanks for your time here. And I've always been an opponent to this eminent domain, and I've seen it in my record. And I think that anybody that shows up at a rancher or landowner's door, they have a huge club that they're holding over the head of that landowner. And I'm really for this. I would like to have, how can we improve it? I mean, sure you want, I would like to have the landowners have more rights, more ability to negotiate and not have that club held over their head. And I'm probably for this bill, but I would like to, take away that eminent domain as a club somehow.
I think that's further than this bill goes into, but go ahead if you want to.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to Representative Johnson's questions. It's a great point. And I think it is due to a lack of education that we see a lot of landowners, a lot of ranchers, what have you, assuming that it is a club, assuming that if they don't take action right away, that their rights are gone. This is something that I worked recently with. We have a transmission line that goes through our ranch up in Northeast Wyoming. And thankfully, I've got an energy background, plus I'm kind of geeky on statutes. So when they were coming through and they were going to be redoing and reworking a lot of that transmission line, I was able to work with my father, who's still the ranch president, and said, listen, we have rights here, and this is what this is what they look like. And from their initial offer to where we ended up were vastly different things. And that's a hat tip to Black Hills, who owns the power line, because they realized, okay, let's work with these ranchers and figure out a way. But it's also a hat tip to the fact that education can do a lot in this regard. And so that's why we're in favor of this legislation. That education is paramount. Once a landowner knows that they have the right to negotiate on their own behalf or to hire someone to negotiate on their behalf, things do dramatically improve as far as that relationship between someone that has eminent domain. It is a long road before they get to the eminent domain takings. And thankfully, we've got good actors in the state that seem to follow that.
Further questions? Right, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Further testimony. Do we have anybody online for this bill? Okay. Any final word, Representative Williams? Okay, with that, we'll close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure?
Move the bill.
Moved by Representative Johnson. Seconded by Representative Davis. Discussion and or amendments. I think we do have some amendments.
Mr. Chairman, I would move all of the amendments provided by Representative Williams.
Seconded by Representative Provenza. So just to be clear for the committee, that is the sheet that has the bigger writing on it and also has the section about the Attorney General. So discussion on the amendment? Question being called. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment is adopted. Back on the bill. Further amendments and or discussion on the bill? Representative Provenza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move the amendments to page 2, line 9, to strike will or may attempt and replace with intends. Then on page 3, Romanet 4, strike completely. And page 4, line 9, add prior to any condemnation action after the word landowner, and strikes lines 13 through 15.
I believe that was on
Is
that.
that some of those? Oh,
Yeah.
I retract
Oh,
everything I
okay, thank
said.
you.
Let me make sure they're all on there.
Okay, yeah, thank you. While she's doing that, any further amendments and or discussion?
Oh, very good.
Representative Struck.
Thank you, Chairman. I think I was just sitting here listening. The one question I kind of have, I don't think if we were to strengthen this for landowners, can we add how many days they have to work on, before they can condemn it? Or is that something that would have to be done in another statute? I think I was not
Yeah,
totally
so my
clear on that.
recollection from working on this through a couple of interims is that's already in statute. The timeline, is already in statute. If anybody thinks differently, please correct me, but that's my recollection of just working on this through the interim? No, great question. Further discussion, questions, amendments? Go ahead, Representative Davis.
One question, Mr. Chairman, and it's in the back of my mind and I do not know, but is it the purview of the AG to develop this or is that within his, as is my question, and I don't know that answer.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I have spoken with the AG and there were several different places where this responsibility could lie, but he was comfortable with it coming to the AG's office.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, and to add to that, I mean, the AG, when we do our ballot initiative process, writes the language and is lawfully required to do so in a way that's unbiased. So it's not like there aren't things that the AG does for education for trying to remain a middle ground. So I think that this is appropriate.
Thank you. Further questions, amendments, discussion? Go ahead, Representative Winter. Chairman Winter, what am I doing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Williams, my question to you is, are you comfortable with all the amendments that have been proposed here on this bill?
Go ahead. Chairman, and Chairman Winter, I am. I worked extensively with the two industry representatives that were here and I consider them to be friendly amendments.
Thank you.
Anything else, committee, on House Bill 11?
Question.
Question being called. Mark, if you'd call a roll on House Bill 11.
Voting on House Bill 11 with amendments, Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Davis,
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom,
Aye.
Representative Johnson,
Aye.
Representative Ottman,
Aye.
Representative Provenza,
Aye.
Representative Schmid,
Aye.
Representative Strock,
Aye.
Chairman Winter.
Aye.
The vote is 9-0, and this is a do pass with amendments.
All right, thank you, committee. Next bill for our consideration is House Bill 116, destruction of water is not a beneficial use. And I don't see Senator Steinmetz, so are you comfortable with this one, Representative Strock? Unless we want to be mean. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. House Bill 116 is a Clear Wyoming First Water Protection Bill. And we've heard it, it came through Select Water. This is where it started. And it states plainly that the destruction of water molecules separating the hydrogen and oxygen for the industrial production of hydrogen is not a beneficial use under Wyoming water law. So Wyoming's water doctrine is built on a simple foundation. Beneficial use is the basis, measure, and limit of every water right. So HB 116 protects that foundation by drawing a bright line where permanent consumption is involved. When the industrial process destroys the water molecule itself, it efficiently removes that water from the natural water cycle as water, changing its form and availability in a way that cannot be reclaimed for downstream uses in the same way. And in our arid state, that is not a policy choice, it's a long-term resource decision. And again, we are having trouble with water this year, as we all know. And I don't know, Wyoming's always been dry. So to say it's just this year, our cycle is we'll have one really good year and 5 to 7 bad. So I think it's something that we really need to consider and really dig into and really look at the possibility of just even protecting our water on the next level and making sure it's not destroyed for people use and animal use. So thank you.
Thank you, Representative. Any questions for Representative Strzok on this bill? Oh, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Representative Struck. I'm interested in one thing you're saying in there because beneficial use is not often amended in the state of Wyoming. And so your point about, I don't know, I guess I'm asking, is your point we need to know more? Or you're in favor of this moving forward right now? Because it is a big deal. It's has a long history in Wyoming of very complex definitions of beneficial use. So just wondering about that.
Thank you, Chairman. Representative, I am in favor of this moving forward, but I do think like you said, what is the beneficial use? But a lot of this, when we were looking at this project and different projects are coming along, what are we using our water for? Are we using it to make fuel? Which we have lots of resources in Wyoming for fuel. This water should be used for people, for animals, for drinking. There is one thing that we cannot do without, and that is water for survival. So if there's other resources to have fuel and all this, just don't destroy our water for the purpose of people and animals and drinking and for the use. So I think that's where we're coming from.
Good. Further question, Representative Provenza?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Looking at this it looks like it's just hydrogen, but I'm curious how this impacts fracking.
Chairman, thank you, Representative. I guess I'm going to have to hand that over to the engineers or someone else that has a little more on that. Thank you.
No further questions for Representative Strzok. I think we can bring up State Engineer. I delayed it as long as I could.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for that. My name is Brandon Gephardt. I am the state engineer.
Good morning, Chairman, Committee. Jack Morey, Deputy State Engineer.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to maybe describe the process that we saw this bill coming through and where we see it now. I don't know that I have all the answers, but I do have something that I want to point out to the committee.
Sure.
So this bill was brought before Select Water Committee by the sponsor on January 21st. And at that time, the bill simply just amended statute 41.3.101, which is the nature, water rights, and beneficial use. And the original bill just simply declared that water for production of hydrogen is not a beneficial use. And what that means is then that the state engineer, because it's not a beneficial use is the basis, the measure, and limit of any water right. It's a cardinal principle to permitting. And if we declare it not a beneficial use, then we would not be able to permit it. And so that was the original bill. Through that discussion with Select Water Committee, we heard a lot of discussion about the potential to maybe use byproduct water from oil and gas, maybe look at local or regionalizing limitations that certain areas don't have water, certain areas of the state may have water. And so following that, my office worked with LSO to provide a concept that tried to capture the ability to use it in some areas, use certain types of water, wastewater, to create hydrogen, and worked with LSO to amend the bill, which is similar to, which is what you have in front of you. the one thing that we did not have in ours that is in the bill that you have is the declaration that it's not a beneficial use. We were trying to allow what we thought we heard, the desire to allow hydrogen production in certain parts of the states or using specific types of water. And so we did that. And the only difference is, let me pull out my bill, is starting on page 1, line 13 through line 6 on page 3. That's where it adds in that it's not the beneficial use. Below that is where we attempted to allow the regionalization and things like that. So I'm only pointing this out. I don't have an answer. I believe it's for you to decide whether you want hydrogen to be a beneficial use or not. But if that portion stays in, then we're not allowed to permit it under any circumstance as it's defined. And I believe it's specific to just the splitting of water to create hydrogen. I know there are other ways to make hydrogen. I don't believe that those are impacted by this. But I guess my point is that the splitting of water to create hydrogen with this language in there will not allow us to permit it at all. And if you want to regionalize it or allow byproduct water to be permitted through us, that would need to be addressed.
Questions, committee? I got one for you. So is there, and given my ignorance on this, is there projects right now that are wanting the hydrogen, things going into place right now that there is splitting hydrogen? Is that going on currently? I just don't know.
Mr. Chairman, I'm aware of one in planning. I don't know that it's operational. I don't believe it is at this point. And I've heard of, this has been several months to a year ago, a company approached us about the potential, and we had some conversations with them on that, but they have not been back since then to explore permitting.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for coming. I'm how much water are we talking about to be a viable hydrogen producer? I mean, and just for information only, I'm not saying that, this much is allowed to be destroyed, but just give us is there an amount of water that would produce hydrogen be viable? I'm just curious.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Johnson, I should have that number, but I don't. I don't know enough about what a viable facility is, how much hydrogen they need to produce, and how much water that is. I apologize.
Other questions, Representative Davis?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Director. I have one question, and maybe I'm confused here. When it says all waters of the state of Wyoming, okay, does that include our production waters coming out of our wells and stuff like that? Do we still have that responsibility? Are those still considered the state's water?
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Davis, yes, they are. The permitting for those may be a little bit different, that if it's only for oil and gas and they're injecting the water back in, as long as that industrial application doesn't leave that project, we may not be involved in the permitting. But once that water is put to a beneficial use, then yes, they absolutely have to have a permit through the state engineer's office.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So water being re-injected into the ground falls under a different permitting process, correct?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Davis, yes, it could, as long as it's not being beneficially used for anything other than that oil and gas production.
Okay, thank you.
Further questions for the state engineer? Okay, thank you. Appreciate that information. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Director. I I'm curious and I know you'll manage whatever we put in front of you, but I'm curious what you think about the development of this. For instance, I'm not opposed to it. Do we have enough framework around this to make this good law? As a general rule, would you say we've done enough work on this, Bill? Thanks.
Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Farnstrom, yes and no. The declaration of beneficial use or not would have to be corrected depending on which way you want to go. I do believe that this provides us a pretty good start to, because what we tried to do is identify parameters for which regulation occurs to help define the question of what is a water short system. And so what we proposed was that it has not been in regulation for 10 years prior to. But as I was reviewing this, I would like some conversations with my staff on a couple of other questions that I think I need to address internally, and maybe even be able to bring back an amendment at some point. But I do think that was our attempt, and I would feel somewhat comfortable once the beneficial use is decided that it does provide us some parameters to scrutinize this type of water use. It's very specific to the disassociation of water.
Good. Thank you. Any other questions? Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will run across the hall.
All right.
Leave these folks here. Thank you.
Thank you. Further testimony on House Bill 116, please come on up. Didn't bring your friends this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to sit on the edge rather than in the middle. Brett Moline, Wyoming Farm Bureau Federation, sitting in firm support of this bill. I think it's important to note that this bill has no effect on any other use of water. This is a very specific bill that you cannot take water, destroy it by splitting it into hydrogen and oxygen. It does not affect the water that can be used for irrigation, drinking water, anything else. This just says we can't destroy it. Water and all other uses stays a part of the system. When you use water to make hydrogen, it's no longer water. It's removed from the system. In a state like Wyoming, every area of the state at some point has a shortage of water. Sometimes it's more severe. The way we're looking right now, it could be perhaps statewide. But sitting in support of this bill, my member's policy is against using water to make hydrogen. Representing that policy, I would sit for any questions you or the committee may have.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Moline?
Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Make sure is clarified is that that the wastewaters, the byproduct waters could still be used, because I still think that there are benefits to hydrogen and making it, but I have a lot of concerns about using our fresh waters that could be used for other areas that I think are very important, like drinking and agriculture, but that if that prohibits hydrogen being produced even through our wastewater or byproduct or our brackish waters that are currently not getting a lot of use, I think there is a lot of potential in this state. We have so much of this wastewater that we're not utilizing, that I want to make sure that that still has potential. And I would, which is outside the scope of this particular bill, but the idea of using that in other areas and other, as we get into the data centers and other things. So I do support this bill, but I want that potential for those byproduct waters to still be open. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your testimony and for joining us today. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for curiosity, do you know what the market is for hydrogen and why, you know?
That's a
we
good
have-
question. I was mostly petroleum remediation is the work that I have done. And so I know less about the hydrogen, but I can see what I have learned through some of my courses and different research is that it has a lot of fuel potential, and it can look cleaner than some of our other fuel sources potentially. And so I can understand the idea of trying to create jobs through this, and that I think that hydrogen has a huge energy potential, but I don't want it to be at the expense of an arid place like Wyoming. Like, as the state engineer said, maybe there are parts of Wyoming that would be more able to tolerate that amount of water reduction from their cycle, but I don't believe that Converse County is necessarily one of those places that can handle that. And my understanding with this particular hydrogen project is that that fuel source wouldn't actually be used in the state of Wyoming as much as other places, which I also find maybe somewhat then concerning. But yes, I do think the market would support that idea from that, but I do not have as much experience on that.
Follow up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So maybe what I got out of that is you would say that our legacy industries of fossil fuels, this would be kind of an attack on it by going down this hydrogen, maybe because we don't know. And you alluded to that hydrogen may be cleaner, but is the process to get it cleaner? I mean, what's the overall?
Mr. Chairman, Representative
Okay.
Davis, I think I am not qualified to answer that question. That
Me neither.
I'm gonna, I don't want to weigh in on something that I'm not fully qualified on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions? Thank you. Appreciate your testimony. Further testimony on House Bill 116. Come on up and fill the chairs if you're going to come up. Go ahead.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Pete Obermuller again with the Petroleum Association of Wyoming. Mr. Chairman, PW doesn't have a position on this bill currently for or against. I do want to echo the just previous speaker though. Little concern if produced water, wastewater could not be used for this process. Just a little information for the committee about produced water. At this point in Wyoming, my members, oil and gas producers in the Powder River Basin here in the DJ and other, are upwards of 70 to 80% recycled water in their processes. What does that mean? They drill and they produce water. They capture that water and recycle it into their fracking jobs and workovers, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been the focus, because what to do with produced water is a challenge. Evaporation ponds is one way, re-injecting into disposal wells is another way. Some wells, some basins produce a heck of a lot more water than others. This is a particular problem in the Bighorn Basin where a significant amount of water is produced from the oil produced in that basin up there. So what to do with produced water is a challenge. If produced water could be added to the arsenal of what could be done with produced water is a value added product, which in fact is what your colleagues in the Minerals Committee is trying to incentivize right now, is the production of hydrogen, not from fresh water, potable water, but from particularly from natural gas and other sources. But if produced water could be a part of that, I think that makes a lot of sense. With respect to Representative Davis's question about the market, the largest market for hydrogen, of course, is in the production of ammonia used for fertilizers. So if you think of the larger companies that operate in Western Wyoming, like Simplot and others, they're they're heavy users of hydrogen for the purpose of creating fertilizer. It's also used in oil and gas refining to help create products in the refining process. So those are sort of current uses. Future uses, or I should say nascent uses, but future uses is the use of hydrogen in fuel cell technology to create electricity. So to answer your question, like, do we think that hydrogen production is a threat? No, we don't.
Thank you. Appreciate that testimony. I just have a question, and maybe you're not the right person, but as this bill, as you read it, does it restrict the use of wastewater as well for that?
Mr. Vice Chairman, I appreciate the question. I walking in the door for this bill, I actually didn't know.
Okay.
That's part of the reason I wanted to learn from the state engineer on that. And so his comments on that, I'm basing mine on his, that he's concerned that wastewater, he would not be able to permit wastewater. And so that concerns me. But yeah, I was trying to learn this bill right alongside you all.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Petroleum Association? Okay, thank you. Appreciate testimony.
Thank you very much.
Further testimony in the room? Anybody online for this one, Mark? Okay, one more shot. Anybody? Okay, with that, we'll close public testimony. Committee, what's your pleasure on this bill? Moved by Representative Strack.
Second.
Seconded by Representative Schmid. Discussion and or amendments on the bill. Representative Strack.
Thank you, Chairman. I think what I would like to see is either the engineers come up and help us work on the one amendment, or we go ahead and work on it a little later for the House floor. You know, if we can go ahead and spend some time on this, and if we can do it now, great. If it's something we want to work on and then bring it.
Amendment about wastewater.
Yes,
Okay.
sorry, about the wastewater and be able to, I mean, I see that could be beneficial. That's
Right.
something that could open up. I don't think there's anything now, but if it could open up for later.
Right.
So thank you.
I guess we would ask, and he left, but we can ask the deputy engineer. Would you need some time to work with us to kind of come up with something about that? About the wastewater and how we can fit that into this?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Strack, yes, we would encourage that we get some time.
Okay.
Probably not, we obviously don't have a lot of time right now. We're
Right.
very split, we're very stretched, but we will make the time.
Okay.
To prepare an amendment to be discussed on the House floor. That would be
Okay.
great.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate that.
You're more than welcome.
And yeah, and we can work with you, whatever we can help too. So be in contact. Good. Okay. Thank you. Further discussion and or amendments? Representative Provenza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to explain my vote. I'm going to be voting no. I don't think we're ready for prime time on this, particularly just right now. I think this is something that needs to be considered more potentially through select water. I'm not entirely sure exactly what we're doing with this and what the implications might be. And so I will be a no vote.
Thank you. Further discussion? Okay, with that, Mark, if you want to call the roll on House Bill 116?
Voting on Bill 116 with no amendments. Representative Banks.
Aye.
Representative Davis.
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom.
Aye.
Representative Johnson.
Aye.
Representative Ottman.
Aye.
Representative Provenza.
No.
Representative Schmidt.
Aye.
Representative Strack.
Aye.
Chairman Winter.
Aye.
Votes 8-1. This is a due pass.
Okay, thank you. Good work, committee. Now we are going to have the hardest bill of the session coming up next. House Bill 44, the reviser's bill. And just basically what this is it's kind of the cleanup bill at the very end of the session. The last bill we do, it kind of goes through and corrects any incorrect statutory references, language errors, spelling things like that. That's basically all that bill does. It just has to come through a committee and then goes to the floor and is the last bill brought out by the majority floor leader, that allows our staff the ability to kind of do all those corrections. So if there's any questions on House Bill 44, the revisers bill,
Question?
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Page 2, line 10. We will need to define a bona fide social relationship. That is a tricky question because if members have a Sam's card, are they in a bona fide social relationship? If they go to the same establishment and have a beverage, is that a bona fide social relationship? That's a sticky question. Around 44?
No,
I'm not
Oh.
following.
you've got, he has a Senate.
Oh,
What do we have? I don't have the right.
whoops.
That is the House bill.
That's tricky.
Yeah, that was-
Why left out?
Yeah, I'm going through this.
Oh my gosh. Is this a bona fide social relationship then? All right, good.
It will get you taken
There we
care
go.
of.
Okay.
Any public comment on the revisers bill? All right, seeing none. Committee, what's your pleasure? House Bill 44, kill it? Oh, move it. Moved by Representative Provenza, seconded by Representative Johnson. Questions on or discussion on House Bill 44? Question being called. Mark, if you want to call a roll on House Bill 44.
Voting on House Bill 44 with no amendments. Representative Banks,
Aye.
Representative Davis,
Aye.
Representative Fornstrom,
Hi.
Representative Johnson,
Aye.
Representative Ottman,
Aye.
Representative Provenza.
Aye.
Representative Schmid,
Aye.
Representative Strock,
Aye.
Chairman Winter. 9-0. This is due pass.
Thank you. That clears our deck for today's meeting, committee. Good work, and we're adjourned.